I will humbly entreat you to watch this video to the end before you take any decision. Please. My name is Sianoki. Thank you so much for clicking in. It's always a pleasure to have you here. So in my bowl already I had 1.5 cups of bread flour, and I'm adding 1 cup of cassava flour. Okay, now after that is added nicely, I'll add in my yeast, my sugar, my nutmeg, and my salt. I'll leave all the measures in my description box, so please check it out. After I'm done adding all the ingredients, including some cinnamon, I'll just go ahead and whisk this nicely, stir everything so that it is all nicely, very well incorporated. Once that is done, I'll also whisk an egg, and then I'll add that to my dry ingredients, add some milk, and use my fork to mix this as easy as that. Anytime I'm making puff puff, I like to use my fork. I found that to be very fast and effective. Okay, so once I mix it to this consistency, I'll just go ahead and cover it and keep it in a warm place for it to rise. Okay, so you can put it in your microwave with the light on, your oven with the light on, or any warm area at all. Okay, so after about 40 to 50 minutes, I'll go check on it, and you would notice that it will, either double or triple in size. Open it and then use your fork again to go through it, release all the excess, I don't know that to say, air from it, and then you go ahead and heat up your oil. This is deep frying, so you need a lot of oil. We need this to float, so it's very important that you add a lot of oil, else it will not float. Okay, now we just go ahead, dip our hand in the mix, and then drop our puff in just like this. I have done it with spoon. It works very well with spoon if you have challenges with this, but just that the spoon, you will not get a perfect round shape. Okay, it will taste good if it has to taste good, but you not get a perfect round shape. So I heated up my oil. It was on high heat, very hot, but when I dropped the puffs in, I reduced the heat to medium. Okay, so that it does not burn. Else what will happen is that it will look very brown on the outer part as if it is cooked, but then when you open it you may have raw dough in there, and we don't want that. So medium heat, turning it from time to time, not moving away from this. By the time it is all golden brown, you'll be assured that this is perfectly done in the inside and very nice on the out as well. So I have been sharing a number of recipes using cassava flour, and I mentioned I got the inspiration from City FM, their breakfast show, where they were talking about how expensive bread flour is and how we can alternatively explore cassava flour. I would say that when you use cassava flour in addition to bread flour, you are likely to have a good taste. This was delicious. That's because the bread flour was more than the cassava flour. Now, just observe this. On this day, I decided to make banana bread, but just with cassava flour. I wanted to see how the effect was going to be, and I went ahead, mashed my banana, added my egg, my sugar, some nutmeg in there because I know how strong cassava flour can be. I'm using oil because I didn't have margarine, so I'm using oil. Added some milk as well. Okay, stirred everything together. Um, then yes, as I mentioned, I used my nutmeg just for that fragrance. I measured my 2 cups of cassava flour, and then I used it for the cake. So the what you are seeing now is some baking soda and cinnamon powder. Now this was impossible to eat. Using just the cassava flour, beautiful people, this was a waste of ingredients. And it was sad. It was really sad, honestly, because I was disappointed I had to use all that ingredients and waste it. But this is my conclusion on using cassava flour for your pastry. That if the bread flour is more, cassava flour is less, you are likely to have a good pastry, enjoy it without having any strong taste or anything. If you use equal proportion, you are likely to taste some of the cassava flour. Some people may mind, some people may not. But if you use just cassava flour, it's a no-no. Okay, so I used some of this for my tortilla. It went well. That was because it was a mixture of both bread flour and cassava flour. So this is my conclusion. Before you go and get some coconut flour and attempt making pastries with them, please, I warned you, take all my precautions. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in another video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe.